Welcome to the Delight Your Marriage podcast. You're joining me, Bella Rose, as I dive deep into the beauty, power, and truths about intimacy. Learn not only the practicals, but the heart behind what making love is all about. Delight your marriage.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Well, I would love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Dan. I'm from Middle Tennessee. I've got a beautiful wife and I've got 4 kids. All 4 kids have now left the house and they're married. 3 of those kids have 8 children of mine. Of course, it's their children. It's really exploded in the last 3 years from 1 to 8. But it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to have these grandkids, and we had most of them over last night, which was just beautiful. Wow, I love the Lord. I've served in the church. Of course, I've served here for a while. I love being here. I love the men that are here, and it is it is what I think fills my soul. It makes me feel like that I've accomplished something, once after a call or so forth. So I'm getting way ahead of myself. So
good. So good. Yeah. So, Dan, maybe first of all, share how long let's see. Gosh, we have so much to get over. Do you remember multiple times over the years talking about wanting to do a testimonial, but we're just not there yet? I want to get to do that testimonial one day. Do you remember?
absolutely. And I think I started off by saying that every man who comes here wants to do this podcast, right? You dream about it, and what would I say, and how would I say it, and I got to remember to say that if I ever do, right? And then it was, I was 1 year in, and I had the opportunity. I'm like, I can't, because she's not here yet, and I don't want to mess that up, right? And it was year 2, and it was year 3, and then it was year 4. And hey, in year 4, I got to do an internal podcast, so that was kind of cool. I got to do it. I got to feel a little bit of it. And now we're at year 5, and I've made it. So here I am. I've looked forward to it for a long time.
Yes, me too. Me too. Gosh. Okay, so do you want to share? Let's back up 5.5 years of where were you with your marriage, with your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. 5.5 years ago, I was really confused. I was really angry, frustrated. I did not understand why we were in the position that we were in. I mean, I believe on my intake form, I put that our marriage is probably a 6 or a 7 because it's always been a great marriage. Just somewhere along the way, the intimacy went away, and everything I knew to try, I tried, and even in having conversations with her, I really don't think she knew why. She just knew that she was no longer interested, and that was extremely painful, and it really consumed my mind. I couldn't think of hardly anything else except how can I fix this? Um, and I remember that's how I got into the podcast world, because I didn't. I had never listened to podcasts before, and I was doing some research and listening and found 2 or 3, and then finally found Delight Your Marriage. No, I've told you this before, but I seen the little picture, and I thought, okay, that must be for women, and I kept moving along, right? And so finally, I came back, and I said, "Oh, this lady knows me. She knows my pain." And um, so then I think it was like 200 and something at that time, probably 210. But I think I listened to 100 just back to back to back to back, and I'm still here listening to them every Friday. So
That's incredible. It is. That's incredible. But that's a good question to even dig into a little bit more when you say that this lady knows my pain. What is it that maybe you can walk us back to that moment or those feelings that maybe somebody else is experiencing.
Mm, I was, it was so painful. Um, I didn't, I knew in my head that she loved me. I knew it. We spent all of our time together, still do. But it was so painful that I was starting to become resentful. And I knew that that was different. And I knew that I had to start and do something different. Because I really felt like that, that I was starting to pull away. And, um, if we both pulled away, then it would have been a really catastrophic event. And, so I started looking for help. And I made it to a couple of places and kind of got started. And one or two of those, I remember one in particular, the podcaster said, "You might not be in the right marriage. You might need to find someone new." And I'm like, "Oh, this is not where I need to be." So of course, when I met you, it was completely different. So I didn't meet you. I found you. It was completely different. Although you did invite me to a clarity call, not personally, but like I told Russ, I was too scared, so I didn't do it.
Well, Dan, what did eventually get you in the door?
um, Back then, I forget what we called them or what you called them, but it was basically a lot of guys came in at the same time, and and I passed on the first one, and I passed on the second one, and then third one. Um, what I did was basically went through the whole process to purchase and just didn't click the last button. And I said, if God wants me to click that button, I'm going to click that button. And it was actually on a work computer, different location, but a work computer. And just remember having one of those days, one of those days when I couldn't hardly work for the frustration and the anger that I had going on inside. And I just said, I'm clicking it. So I clicked it, um, and that was October 16th of 2020. Looked it up today. So it's been a long time. Yes. Um,
That's amazing. That is so wild. And so what was it once you got in, what was the experience like?
I wasn't the best student by any means. I did the work. I did all the work that I was supposed to do, but I had a problem. Me and my wife rode in together, and the meeting time was at the same time I had to pick her up. It was actually like 30 minutes before, but I had to travel, and I'm like, oh, um, so fast forward at um, about five coaching sessions, and you reached out and you said, Dan, you do whatever you have to do to get in this class so that I can coach you. And so I did. I did. And I told her, I said, look, I'm in a Christian men's group. We're meeting. And on that particular day, I would be 30 minutes late or an hour late to come pick her up. And so I made my first one, and of course that was about two after that you scolded me a little bit about something else, and I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. I got to fix this. Um, so I just and I'll man, God was in this process all the way through, and I can go back and see it so well now. I couldn't at the time, but I just kind of see how He orchestrated everything so that I would do the things that I should have done in the first time that I had heard about DYM.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
missed the silent part.
Wait, so a couple things you said, God was in this process all the way through. What do you mean by that?
So I, as as much as personally, I think, okay, look, I could have had this success in my marriage, a year sooner, and when you're my age, a year might feel like a lot more than some of the young guys. So, I'm like, I could have had this, this success in my marriage, um, a lot sooner and you really had more time. But, in the way that the class turned out, and then of course graduation, um, and we, my wife and I, we had success during the class. She could tell something was different. She had no idea. She had no idea what I'd done for years, maybe 2 years, year and a half. And, but she knew something was different. And so things were changing, but they were changing really, really, really slow. And so at the end, when I graduated MR, that was the very, very beginning of an internal group called MRG, called something else then, and that was actually when it first started. And I'm thinking, if I hadn't have been, if I'd have been in one of those earlier classes and everything worked out the same way, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. I wouldn't have rolled right into MRG. And I really, really needed MRG. I needed it for multiple reasons. I needed the friendships that I have inside of this group, this internal group. Um, and I needed more coaching, and God took care of that too. But because listen, this is not normal, but uh, out of all these MRG groups, um, our facilitator left, and he had an emergency at home, flooding in his house basically, and you had to come in for a little while. And wow, that was the coaching that I didn't get during MR. So y- who could put that together other than God, right? So, and I think that's the only time you've done that. It was just, when I look back, it's just phenomenal the way it worked out. It's phenomenal. I'm jumping way ahead, but it's also phenomenal how God worked out the fact that my wife got him. So, and then she did DYM Academy, which is a beautiful program too. I did it again, just while she was doing it, I did it again. And so the way that she got into it was just as God orchestrated as mine. So it's just been beautiful to look back on and see. And then I probably wasn't ready for a lot of success in the very beginning. Um, I think I think I would have misused some of that success, and so God slowed it down. And and even though year over year, things kept getting better and better in our marriage, um, the way He orchestrated that was definitely much better than the way I would have orchestrated that. So
That is just so powerful. I love that you said that. I wasn't ready for a lot of success because you would have your own, and I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth. You're meaning your own heart before the Lord would have gone in the wrong spot. Is that what I'm hearing?
it would have. I think I would have look what I did. I got this great coaching. Look how great. And I also feel like that in that realm, I was a little bit immature and still selfish in that, um, it was not, I was not doing it to serve the Lord and to serve her. I was still doing the work for what I got out of it. And, you have to do this basically almost as a worshiping the Lord. And the byproduct of that is the fact that, you and your wife's marriage moves closer and closer together. Uh, and then of course intimacy is just a byproduct of that, and
Okay.
it's, it's,
That's
it's,
exactly right.
it's hard to make that transition. Is very hard to make that transition. It was
Yeah.
for me anyway. So
How long do you think it took for you to make that transition?
probably at about the 9 month mark, from the very first, I guess it would have been about a year from the time I started MR to about 9 months into MRG. That would have probably been about the time that I just remember one of the gentlemen in my MRG group just called me out on it, and um, it's you know the these guys I would really call them my best friends today. I really would, and but when they see something, they tell you, and they told me. So um, absolutely, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, and so you start searching your heart, you know, when you're when I'm doing something for her, or it's you just have to have that mindset of, yeah, I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for the Lord, and I'm doing it because I love her, but not so I can get something back from her.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, okay, so 9 months, um, and, you know, so you've had this awesome heart change. Slowly things changed in your marriage year after year, getting a little better, a little better, a little better. You started being a volunteer. Why did you decide to volunteer with these guys?
Um, I really enjoyed our call, the call with my group of men, and I really wanted to be able to serve some other men and hopefully give them that same experience we were having in our call. I still think our call is the best call. I mean, there's so much more now, right? But I was hoping to give them that same experience that I was having on a daily basis. And I started off with one extra call a week, and where I facilitated their call, and it was 7 other gentlemen. Still very much friends with 4 of those today. And then 6 months or 8 months later, as we grew, then I took another one, and love those guys as well. So um, it's it fills my heart. It's I've always felt like I needed to do something by the end of the day that moved the kingdom forward, and I didn't I didn't feel that way a lot of days. A lot of days I didn't feel that way, and so this was an opportunity for me to do that, and it definitely fills the role. It really does.
That is so good. Everything, every day at the end of the day, feel like you move the kingdom forward. That's powerful. So you've done this for multiple years, volunteering with these men, walking alongside them as they've been coached, and then as they've lived out the principles that we teach, all about your heart and your behaviors. And you've seen it work in your own life, and you both walk in through this with the other men. What would you say are some of the major things that men are surprised about when they get in the space with the groups that, what do they say that maybe seems a surprise for them?
I think the biggest I think the biggest surprise most of these men have are they come into a group, and especially when the group is new and they don't know what to expect. And men are, the first thing men do when they get into or any room is they look around and see, they get a lay of the land, right? Who's who, that type thing. But they don't expect to have the close relationship that we end up having with each other. I mean, it's online. It's basically a Zoom call or Google Meet call, and you haven't met face to face up until a year ago. You haven't met, and it's and it's amazing how close you can become to these men, and how much of a friendship there is, and it shows that void that was in your heart, um, and what you've been looking for and needing for a long, long time. Because once you get through some of the things that we deal with in MR and MRG, there's not a whole lot left to share with someone, you know, that that you would want to keep secret. And there's not a lot of secrets in here. We spill it out. We talk about troubled times. I remember one day in particular. It was I had an issue with my family that had nothing to do with my marriage, and the whole call was about my issue with my family, and because they didn't want to talk about theirs, they wanted to talk about this. They wanted to help me that day, And so I remembered that, and there's been times we've done the same thing with others along the way too. And it's a community like I've never seen anywhere else. It really is.
That is so cool. That is so cool. What a answered prayer, truly is. And why do you think that's so important to men's healing?
I think to a degree, it gave me confidence. Um, Before it was simply what was in my head. And boy, that was a lot. It would go, I would have conversations with me and her in my head, and they'd go around and around and around the rail. But you, and then you have them a different way. Then you have them a different way, right? And then once we learn some principles, and then we start to apply them, then, in talking to the gentleman and having these close relationships, and basically them keeping you accountable. Um, if you say you're going to do something by next week, when you meet, you probably had better done it by next week when you meet, because they're going to ask you about it. They're going to call you out on it. And they did many, many, many times. So, um, there's been a few times when, my frustration would get high, over the course of 5 years, and those guys call me out on it. And, it's, it's, it's so helpful. It's painful at the time, but it's so helpful. Uh, you know, when they know what I really want deep inside, which is to grow my marriage and to grow my relationship with God. And so they're going to make sure that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, it, it's beautiful. And then I try to be that guy. I'm a little nicer than some. Oh, I won't mention names, but, 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 um, and I try to be that guy for them as well, and I'm usually a little softer about doing it than some, but I'm the guy that needs it to be a little bit more stern anyway, to get my attention. So
That is so cool. I like that you said it gave me the confidence, because a lot of times there's there's a lot of thoughts and ideas and books or other podcasts or what have you in your head. And I can imagine, I mean, before you got into MR, did you feel, I mean, was there a lot of confusion of what to do next? What is it that will work?
there is a lot of confusion. There was a lot of confusion for me, because I had listened to a lot of different things. And I remember even asking you a question one time that, you said, "Hey, you said this, and I'm not sure how this works." And then you came back and you said, "Yeah, I don't think I ever said that." So, just confused about what to do in certain situations. And the clarity that we can get, because I mean, there's 6 other guys right there, with 7 guys, you can remember, what we're supposed to be doing, what we're not supposed to be doing, and then also get us back on the rails if we do come unglued like that. And I did more than once. So, those guys really took care of me, and I've said it a bunch of times. They are my brothers, so I love it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So, can you think of some of the lessons that were really impactful to you, just whether it was MR, MRG, the monthly coach? And, you not only do the volunteering with the actual men's groups facilitating, but you also took it upon yourself to, yeah, to share why you do that other part of your role.
So, um, so I also will take. So we on the inside get to really enjoy, um, at least some coaching at least once a month from other than from our MRG group, right? So, most of the time that's you, Bella, and a lot of times that's another men's coach. I won't say a men's coach, but, someone who has a topic that's related to men. And so I decided that we needed to save those, and there'd be snippets inside of those that we just really needed to have and be able to go back and take a look, because so many times you're struggling with something, um, and you can go there and just find that topic and listen to it, and it's so helpful. Or from a facilitator point of view, I can have one of my gentlemen who are struggling with something, I can send them that link, and then I'm not coaching because I'm not a good coach, but but you are, so I can take and send you to them, and then feel like that we're maintaining um, exactly what we need to be maintaining in here, which is the right way to handle our marriages and to move forward with the training that we got in MR.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and how is, a couple things you said also. Well, I actually, there's a whole nother aspect of your role that you didn't mention. You
That's
did so much things, Dan. And the internal podcast. Can you
I
tell us
didn't.
how?
What else? So, so my thought behind the internal podcast was, there were people like me who really, really, really had a story, and there's hundreds of people in here, right? So they, well, they all have a story, and a lot of them, like myself, just didn't feel like it was time to share that, outside of the UIM. And so I wanted them to have that ability to share their story and do the podcast, and for other gentlemen to hear something very similar to what they may be going through, and then those two gentlemen could correspond, however they feel best, phone call, Google Meet, whatever, and then work on things together, almost become confidants or buddies, or however you want to look at it. Um, and we've all pretty much, as we have all pretty much done that. There's a lot of guys who have just come in lately that I'm way behind. Um, but oh, it's a beautiful thing to sit and watch that. Especially they can come into MR and they don't really have that smile yet. There's a smile that these guys get when things are working, and it's almost like I call it my pay, right? So I'm watching these guys, and week after week, and just kind of see the smile come in their faces, where things are starting to really gel, and their marriage is moving closer and closer together, and anything that they've been dying to have, even if it's just, hey, my wife met me at the door today. And I remember when that happened for me, I thought it was just wonderful, and it was wonderful. And she still meets me at the door, and it's great. But you get to see that, and then I won't open this world, but it all stems from these guys working together, enjoying each other's company, and then iron sharpening iron, which is kind of exactly what we do every day here. Not Sunday, but every day except Sunday. So
We are resting.
yes, right.
That's so good. That's so good. So, I'm just thinking about a gentleman listening, and, I know a lot of the guys in MRG and who've been around for a long time have felt like this is not what they ever would have thought they needed in their life. They're lone wolf guys. They don't need other people, particularly guys who are going to whine about their marriages all day long. What do you think about that, Dan? Someone who might be listening.
Well, that was me. It was exactly me. You called and told me that you were starting this program. You actually called the night before. My wife didn't know anything about it. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, and the phone said New York, New York, and I'm like, I'm not answering that. So not with her next to me. But so the next day we're speaking, and you're talking about MRG, and I said, Bella, I kind of struggle with a lot of and I'm a whiner, so don't take don't take this, with a lot of the whining, and so I'll probably do it for a couple of months, 3 months. And you said you do it as long as you want to do it, and so 5 years and a month, I think later, I'm still doing it. So yes, you it's that vulnerability sharing those things that are really, really hard, that really brings the men closer and closer together. And I see it happen over and over again, and to the point that some of the guys who who could leave because they've had great success in their marriage, they're still here because they really need that friendship. They really need that camaraderie that I haven't found anywhere else. I mean, um, I've been the head deacon of the church and had deacons under me and next to the pastor, and you have that close knit relationship, but it's nothing like this. It's just nothing like this.
Huh.
It's a beautiful thing, and that's another thing I see God in. Um, I don't know how you could have imagined this to be as good as it is when it was dreamed up, and it's just the way God has taken this and molded it to be what it is just beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Oh, amen. It is. And you're right. We give God all the glory. And, you know, to the point that you shared, I mean, all of these gents, the aim is for everyone to have a local church, to have a local body of believers. I think that's so important. Everyone have their own pastors and have, to be under authority in their own context in real life. And what would you see is the place that MRG plays in people's lives that doesn't take away from the local church, but adds to it?
I I believe for me, it gave it gave me the ability. I mean, I can I can almost tell when there's another gentleman at church who's struggling, and then and he may be in leadership, he may not be, but I can almost tell, and then then you may get an opportunity to speak to him and speak into him and share with him some things uh, that would hopefully really really help him. Right? Um, it's a different relationship in that you're standing next to them where you're online here, right? And there's a certain amount of uh, anonymity. There's a certain amount of oh, there's a word I'm looking for, but um, confidentiality that we get here that we don't get inside of a church. And you don't necessarily want that gentleman to share, to share things that you might share here because he may or his wife may know your wife, kind of situation. So,
Yep.
um, yeah. So it's a protected area, when we're here, and it gives you a lot more confidence to do the things that men don't get to do. We don't get this relationship. I've got a friend I've had for 50 years. He doesn't know what these guys know. He doesn't, and he's you know he probably needs to be here too. It just dawned on me. So,
That's awesome.
uh,
That's awesome. Well, it's interesting. What, yeah, what kinds of people are here? Like what professions, what backgrounds? What would you say?
oh man, well, some of my favorites are the pastors, and some of the other favorites are missionaries. Um, uh, Multiple CEOs are in here. Um, Man, uh, there's people like me who are next level down from CEO. Um, and there's blue collar guys in here. There, it really is a really good mix of the general public, and most of them are Christian, and there's different levels of that, but most of them are. And in Gosh, it's so fun to watch that happen as well. I didn't even mention that, but you have somebody come in and they're a believer, but they're not, maybe not even in church. And through the course of meeting with MRG weekly, you just kind of start seeing that whole praying. You all pray, everybody prays during the meeting. and you start seeing how they grow in their relationship with the Lord while they're working on their marriage. Well, it's natural, of course, and it's beautiful. It's awesome. But yeah, some of them, we just, my squirrel mind goes to. I mean, we have theological conversations every now and then with, like, if just one person shows up, it's a pastor, then I get to have a great time, So tell me about this. Tell me about that. Right. So, no.
That's something. I'm glad you mentioned the pastors and the missionaries, because often those leaders in spiritual contexts, I mean, everyone's going to them for the answers. And what about when they need their own group of people to pour into them and encourage them and pray for them and love on them?
And I can imagine how hard that is as a pastor. As a deacon, it was hard. It was hard to say, look, I need help here. I don't know how to fix this. So I didn't. Right. And so as a pastor, I can't imagine how hard that is. And the beauty is just watching a pastor come in right alongside somebody like me. It's, he can feel very confident in everything being confidential, and I can as well. And it's a beautiful place for them. And obviously, there's multiples of both missionaries and pastors here. So obviously that's an issue for them as well as for us. Yeah, it's all over. And probably even more. I think about them and I think about all the time they put into their flock and how much time that takes them away from their wife at nights and weekends. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And okay, so you mentioned that you were too scared to do a clarity call.
Yes.
And why?
I don't know. Well, back then you were doing the clarity calls.
I was.
So that was part of it. That was part of it. And probably, yes.
I would not be part of it.
So that was part of it. Well, I listened to the podcast and I said, that lady knows me, So then there's an even deeper amount of vulnerability that I was feeling about that. I'm like, okay, so then there was the big group meeting. I'm like, oh, I can do those. And so now there's Dana and doing the podcast and Clarity Call and Charles, just heard Charles a couple of weeks ago. And wow, it can't be as good as Bella, but at the same time, it's
better.
Man, I've talked to both of those people, extensively, and wow, how easy is it to talk to either one of those? And it's I could have probably done it today. I'll put it that way. So.
Would it have been worth it? Would it have been worth pushing past the fear?
It would have. It would have. And again, I wished I've jumped in earlier so many times. But then again, I look back at the way things worked out and the way God worked those things out. And would he have worked them out if I jumped in early? Probably. But I did not want to miss any miracles. So, I love the story and the way that I got in. But yes, confidence, the cool thing about it is my wife gives me a ton of confidence today that I wasn't getting 6 years ago, and it's amazing. It's amazing how she can do that just by doing the things that I guess the ladies do on the other side of this. I don't know what they do, but I know that after my wife took UM Academy, it sure made me feel a lot better. So lots more confidence.
That is awesome. You know what? Yeah. Can you share just a little bit about that? Like you said, that was a God thing too. Do you mind sharing about her coming on board in her way?
Not at all. Not at all. So we'd had a conversation or two, usually not positive, along the way. And so we rode halfway. It's a long story. We rode halfway to work together. And I got out of the car and she said, hey, question. She says, got a friend and she'd like for you to see if you could help her husband. And I'm like, sure, be glad to, and so forth. And so in course of that, DYM Academy was starting, and um, so we seen an opportunity, and I'm like, oh well, and I had been saying I needed to go back through the program again. I needed, because a lot of things have changed in 5 years. It's even better. So uh, so
Pause
um,
you for just 1 second so we can clarify people, just in case they're a little lost. So, the way Delight Your Marriage is structured is that somebody has the option of coming into Delight Your Marriage online through a clarity call, which is free. And you can talk to Charles or Dana or Melanie, and they're all amazing people who are graduates themselves, and God has changed their marriage. And then you can come into a 3-month intensive, which is either for women separately or for men separately. That's what Dan did 5 years ago. And then from that 3-month intensive, if you choose to, you can go into the graduate group, which we call MRG for men, or for ladies, the graduate group is called DWG. So that's what we've had for these years that Dan's been involved. And then now, only over the last several months, we've launched Delight Your Marriage Academy, which somebody can take the same material, but they can take it to their local church or their local group of people. So they can go through the same training, not have the coaching aspect, but go through the same training. So hopefully that clarifies as you're talking about the structure. Go ahead. Sorry.
absolutely, absolutely. So in the course of trying to help another couple, both of us help another couple, then the academy uh, uh, training opened up at the same time. Thank you, Jesus.
Mhm.
And it worked out where um, I went through with, and it was the accountability partner of the gentleman, and my wife went through and was the accountability partner of the lady. And and so we started. It was through Christmas time, and we're trying to get it all in, and everything was working out. And I remember, and this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I remember, I don't know, it was like week 8 or week 9. I'm like, our marriage is different. I feel different. Something's different, and it just hit me one day. I'm like, it's really different, and I really couldn't put my finger on it. I just knew that this was better, and uh, so again, um, the fact that we knew this couple, and we were we were all coming in together, and the timing of DWAM Academy, God had to be in the middle of that. He just really had to be in the middle of that. And it's just how much he blessed me, how much he loves me, and I appreciate it. I don't understand it. I wish, and I know I'm a child of the King. I know it, but I still some days wonder why he blesses me the way he does, and I'm so thankful that he does. It is beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, uh, me and my wife were talking yesterday, and I said, there's an event happened in our life, and I said, you know what? Whatever happens, God's going to take care of us. He's already got a plan, and um, in the last 5 years, that's proven it to me more than any other particular time in my life.
Uh, uh. Would you say you're a different man than you were 5 years?
I'm very different. I'm very different. I think about my walk with God is very different. Even though I was a deacon and all the different things, I wasn't in the Word every day like I should have been, and I am now. Part of our LTPs and what we do, right? So I didn't do 10 gratitudes every day. 11 if I need to, and that's a little inside joke. Um, the faith statements. I remember the first faith statement that came true was, my wife meets me at the door every day, and I never told her. I didn't. I just said my faith statement every day, and then all of a sudden, boom, she was at the door. I'm like, this is cool. So, um, yeah, it's it's a much different, it's a much different, no, it's not a much different life, although it is. My heart is much different today than it was 6 years ago. And I'm so thankful.
Yes. 100%. That is true. Dan, I remember when you came. I do.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
And it was genuine that I wanted you to stick around.
Oh,
You need
well, I did need it. I did need it. So, oh, yeah. And many times I felt like, God was talking to you when you spoke to me, like that third week when you said, I don't think you understand this program. And that was the only response I got from a big long list of things I turned in. So I'm like, I might better get to work here. So
if you can, what surprised you when you first came into maybe even the coaching? What was a surprise for you?
how easy, how easy it was. Well, one, to talk to you and to be vulnerable with you. Um, and then the same way with the other gentlemen that were in the program, how easy it was to connect with them. Back then the same group of men went through the full 12 weeks, but it was so easy to connect with them, and whether it was inside or outside, much easier in MRG because it's a smaller group. But it was that was what really surprised me the most. And I feel like I'm trying to puff you up or something, but um, there's 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 so many. There's 10 guys in the program at any given time, MR program. They're each one are different in some way, and you remember the differences in each one of those men, and you could answer the question in the way that it pertained to them the most, even though it still helped the rest of us while we were listening to the question and the answer. Um, and I thought that's a unique gift. And I've tried to do that with the gentleman that I lead here. But yeah, it's pretty hard. It's a hard thing for me to do. It might be natural for you, but it's a really hard thing for me to do.
Oh, that's so, yeah, I so appreciate. I'm honored and grateful. Yeah, that is really neat. That is really neat. Anything else that you think would just give a gentleman who might have felt in your shoes, hopeless, angry, frustrated, not sure why, can't can't navigate this part of marriage?
Um, if there's a gentleman out there who's hurting, um, and I can almost feel the pain if I take myself back there, and I don't ever want anybody to feel that pain. And in no way do I think it was intentional, in my marriage, but um, man, just there's help out here, and there's a group here. Um, there's there's things that there's things that you don't know, and um, I really thought. I still remember. I'm like, oh, I was giving my wife respect. I was giving my wife admiration, and I was trying to give her wholehearted sexual intimacy. That don't work, and I was giving her that because that's what works for me, you know. Um, and it didn't work, and I didn't know anything else. I didn't know known. I didn't know safe. I didn't know cherished. I didn't know those things, and I'm not sure how I was supposed to know them, but I missed it somewhere. And going through this program, and the way that it's set up, where you do one step at a time and they're in order, is it's beautiful the way you can sit and watch a man's life change and that smile come on his face. And if there's a man out there thinking, I'm just going to listen to this podcast, I'll figure it out. Jump in, jump in, because you're in pain, you're hurting. Um, there's men here that want to come around you. There is so much information here that will help you. Jump in. It will change your life. And the harder you work, the faster it'll happen. I am a testament to that. So it took me a year. So some guys are 3 weeks.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh. Tell me if you don't mind, when you trying to think how to take this home, because it's been so good so far, Dan. You were saying there's a place for help, there's a place for hope. Yeah, would you, if you have any final thoughts you want to share, otherwise I'll just ask you to maybe pray for a guy listening.
yeah, I guess I'll expand on that a little bit, and then I'll pray. But there's help here. There's and it's hard for a lot of men to ever say they need help. It's hard for a man um, to especially in this intimate regard, that they need help, to tell other men. So this is a safe place. There is a group of staff and a group of volunteers here who can't wait to see the smile on your face. So um, please take that first step. And Dana's an awesome woman. I had a couple conversation or two with her, and she's just a beautiful heart. Charles is an awesome gentleman. He's actually in my Thursday morning group, and I love it. I love it. He's just really, really awesome. And then Melanie, I've had a couple of conversations with her as well. So it doesn't matter which clarity call advisor you get. It's going to be so easy, and they're so easy to talk to, and you can just share, and they'll guide you. Um, it's I don't know why I wouldn't do it, but gentlemen, you need to do it. So it's yes. Now that I'm on the other side, it's like, oh, I could have been here a year earlier. Oh man, but anyway, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, do you mind praying for a guy listening?
Don't mind at all. Hey, Father, we love you. Father, I love you. Father, I know everybody in this organization loves you, and it's beautiful to see, and it's beautiful to watch. Father, there's a man who's listening, and I know he's hurting, and I can almost feel it for him. And Father, it's just so easy to reach out, go online, and pick a clarity call time, and to jump on that call. And I just ask you that you can help him push through the anxiety that happens when you go to do that, and to set that up. Father, I thank you that you got me here anyway, but for him, I just want you to push him through that and give him the confidence, and to bring him in, Father, and that we can show him all the love that he's probably ever seen in a group setting. Father, if and for the ladies, Father, the same way, if there's a lady out there who just really needs this program, Father, just ask you to give her confidence, let her move forward, and do the same. Father, I thank you for the men that I get to share life with here. I ask you to bless each and every one of them. I ask you to bless their marriages, Father. I thank you for the staff and how hard they work, so that we can have this as an opportunity to jump into. And Father, I thank you for Bella, and I continue to ask for your hedge of protection around her as she continues to lead us all forward, and just keep her safe, keep her healthy, Father, as we move forward. We do love you, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Oh man, Dan, this is so great. We really have looked forward to this for a very long time.
Very long time. Yes.
Very long time. And I can't wait at some point to meet your wonderful wife that I've just heard so many wonderful things about. You love her so much. And one of these days, maybe she can pop on a call that I get to meet her.
Yeah, one day there'll be one. She definitely has a different opinion of you today than she did, 3, 4, 5 months ago, however long it was when we started. So.
Oh, wait, now that's a juicy bit of detail. Tell me what you mean by that.
I don't know. You know more about this part of it than I do. I don't know what it is that makes wives so apprehensive to join after a lot of the guys have gone through for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. But she is definitely, or was definitely, that lady, and I think it was the vulnerability and so forth. But but it's like, oh, she's not scary. She's a nice lady, um it's worked out really, really good, and she really enjoyed the program. She enjoyed the content, and it was um I'm a happy man. What can I say?
Oh, praise the Lord. Yeah, I'm a silly and messy lady. And, Dan, I appreciate you not sharing with everyone my many, many mistakes, but you certainly could. You could talk about
Well, you spared me as well. I tried to tell a few, but you spared me as well.
too good, too good. We are definitely a group of imperfect people, but certainly, certainly struggling to do it Jesus' way and love like he does. And
Absolutely.
God just does all sorts of miracles. So,
Yes.
all right, Dan, well, I'll let you get to that beautiful wife of yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bella. It's always good to talk to you.
Always, always. But this was great. This was really great.
Awesome.
So
I'm glad.
appreciate you.
All right.
All right, Dan. God bless. Talk soon.
Righty.